Captain Bill Gustin is a 40-year veteran of the fire service. He began his career as a volunteer firefighter in his hometown of Wheaton, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. Bill is a third-generation firefighter. His dad and grandfather were officers on the Chicago Fire Department. Bill began his career with the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Department in 1978. He was promoted to the rank of lieutenant in 1983 and to captain in 1986, and has worked almost his entire career in the Liberty City area. His fire apparatus or station, called Aerial 2, was ranked by Firehouse magazine as the busiest ladder company in North America in 2010 and 2011, responding to over 5,000 calls a year. Captain Gustin has been a recruit training instructor throughout the United States and Canada. He is also a contributing editor for firefighting magazines and has written several articles. He worked as an instructor and advisor for the U.S. Agency for International Development and has conducted training programs for fire brigades in several Caribbean countries. Captain Gustin was a member of the Miami-Dade's International Disaster Response Team and participated in the rescue of people trapped in collapsed buildings resulting from earthquakes in the former Soviet Union in 1988 and in the Philippines in 1990. He was also a member of the FEMA working group that established the organization and standards for urban search and rescue teams that respond to domestic and international disasters. Bill was awarded as Florida's Firefighter of the Year for rescuing a woman and her young daughter who were trapped in their burning home by burglar bars on their doors and windows.
In dress blue uniforms. What about the firefighters that are critically injured, maimed, crippled, can't do their job anymore, end up in a nursing home? So it's not just the line of duty deaths, it's the losing the quality of your life. Let's talk about risk. We have a cardinal rule in the fire service, and that is risk a little to save a little. Risk a lot to save a lot. Well, what is a lot? What is a lot? Well, it's not just life, because people's property means a world to them, especially to a woman. And I learned this firsthand in Hurricane Andrew. When I lost my home, was destroyed by Hurricane Andrew, how devastating it was to my wife. And how devastating it is when I see women that have their house damaged in a fire. And believe me, it doesn't take much of a fire to screw up your house because of the smoke. So we will take that risk to save property. Now, we're going to take a look at some firefighters. And I need to precede this by explaining that in our environment, because everything is such, the furnishings of a home are plastic-based, petrochemical-based, it yields such black smoke that a lot of times we're operating in a condition of zero visibility. We have to rely on the sense of touch and feel and orient ourselves with the walls so we know where we're going. So when you see this video, and it was taken by a camera that's mounted in the top of a firefighter's helmet, understand that at certain points you're not going to see anything because he doesn't see anything. So it's a pretty dramatic rescue. These two guys go in to search. They have a report of somebody trapped, and they're going to go ahead and locate them and bring them out and perform CPR.
Units responding, medic engine 223 is on scene, establishing Tijuana command. Got a single-story, single-family dwelling. Heavy smoke coming from, heavy smoke and fire coming from the front door. A.M.A. on scene. Break, medic engine 222, can you go around the block and lay a line into me? Between us and, is the down line?
I copy, I see that line. All units be advised you need to enter this from the north to the south. So we have power lines down.
Possibly one person trapped in the back of the house. Okay. Further witnesses here, and there's got power lines and there's bars. Okay.
Further units from Tijuana, I see 223. I got reports of a trapped subject to the back of the house. I've got one attack line pulled to the front door right now. We're going to make entry to perform a rescue. Break truck 221 from Tijuana, I see.
You're going to be my ventilation. I want you to the roof. Vertical ventilation. We have no problem with forcible entry in the front door right now. Copy. We'll go straight to the roof then. A.M.A. engine 229 stage.
Keep going, Mike.
229, what's go ahead, come on in. This is fire attack. We have one victim pulled out. Fire attack 229, copy. One victim in the back. We'll be coming up to assist.
221 stage.
K1IC from 223. IC from 602, I'm on scene. I'm going to go ahead and take command. I need you to come out here and talk to me. Do you got a chance? Go, you. Give me 1 second, we're on middle CPR. Stand by. Okay, who's that second in engine? I'm going to make them fire attack. And I'm going to make you medical. From 222, I'll go ahead and take over. As I see right now, Ben's got the patient. Right now, we'll need a second 229 to come and assist with fire attack. As a backup group, the Nixon engine, I need accountability. Okay, and that's confirming who has fire attack? Make 222 fire attack at this time. Single story, single family dwelling. DRA just has the power line down to the south of the house. We do have 2 lines pulled. We're ready to make entry again. Majority of the fire is going to be to the east portion of the house. I copy. Break units and staging from IC.
221.
Engine 1, go ahead and come on in and assist with fire attack. I'm going to need your 2 out.
221, copy.
There's young Gustin back in 1973, when I was young and handsome and over competent. And that's not beach sand. That's up in Illinois. There's my mentor. There's my dad. And throughout my whole life, I tried to be the man that he is. And he's much more of a man than I am. And he taught me how to be a man. You know, being a man, and I'm directing my this is just what because I'm old now, so I'm qualified. This is what this man taught me. Being a man is not how many females you can impregnate, how many tattoos you got on your neck, how many vicious pit bulls you walk down the street trying to intimidate people with, what kind of gangster you are, how many fights you win. That's not being a man. Being a man is getting up and going to work in the morning when you don't feel like it and putting in a hard day's work and coming home and bringing a paycheck and feeding your family, putting clothes on their backs and a roof over their head. That's being a man. Everything else will fall into line. But that's being a man. That man, well, we gotta be a man. Last time, I didn't tell you this. Last time I saw him, he was in hospice. And I said that I don't have the faith that he does, but I believe that he's watching me right now, and I also believe that I will see him again. And when I saw him for the last time, he said, Bill, I think this is going to be the last time. I said, yeah, Dad, it will be for a while, I guess, but I'm going to see you again. And he says, yes, you will, Bill. Let's just don't make it too soon, okay? That's my dad in 1952. That's when firefighting was brutal. There was no breathing apparatus. There was no protective hoods. These guys were iron men. And that rate at that point was astronomical in the fire service. We have it so much better today. No breathing apparatus. They breathe smoke. It was a brutal job. I want to relate a story to you that shows you the kind of character. And the story that I'm going to relate to you was told by the guys that were up here in the snorkel basket here. This is the unit that my dad rode in the early 60s. They were operating in a warehouse fire on the west side of Chicago. And they saw that there was a huge crack in the wall developing up above where the firefighters were operating in the basket. And the wall was in imminent danger of collapsing and crashing into the fire apparatus, which would have resulted in certainly the death of the two firefighters in the basket. While every other firefighter was running out of the alley at the rear of this furniture store, one guy was running towards the scene, and that was my dad. He jumped up on the turntable and rotated that out of the way just in time when the wall came down and buried him. It took about 45 minutes for them to dig him out of the bricks. That's where he was standing. Let me back up a second. He was standing right here. Those are the controls of the turntable. Now, it was his faith and his, can I say this? His cortisone. You know, I asked him, what makes a good firefighter? Well, it's what makes a good minister, what makes a good school teacher, what makes a good landscaper? It's the desire. It's the desire. Well, he had the desire. So he had almost every bone broken in his body, and with less than a year, he was back on the job. Why? The cortisone. It was the desire. And then he distilled that in me. This is another profound, I realize this is a really bad picture. What you're looking at there is myself and Captain Castillo. We're in Soviet Armenia, over in the Soviet Union, in 1988. We flew over there. It took us about 16 hours to get there, and then we had to go by truck over the Caucasus Mountains to this town, Leninakon. And while we were there, the locals came running up to us, and they said, hey, we've got somebody trapped. We went up to a public housing apartment building. I thought I was looking at a statue. I thought I was looking at like a marble statue, except I saw her head move slightly. She was buried up to her neck in concrete debris. It took us over 8 hours to get her out. And we had to do some horrible things. She had her arms around her two grandchildren. And it was a profound effect. I had never been to war. I hadn't been in the military. And it was a profound experience. And I remember coming back and calling my dad. And I was very upset because we lifted up the concrete slab on a school and there were so many children that had been killed. I was very upset. And I said, Dad, why did God do that to these people, these innocent children? You know, that's an age-old question, isn't it? Isn't there a movie about that right now? Why does bad things happen to good people? And you know what he told me? He says, Bill, you won't know that until the day you die, and God will tell you that himself. Because right now, as a human, as a mortal, it is beyond your human comprehension. We will never be able to understand it. This is the Philippines, 1990. This guy was pinned in a second floor that had pancaked down into the basement of a hotel. Again, this was a protracted operation. We had a doctor with him. He had to amputate the guy's leg. We did apply a tourniquet, and we did save him. And it was a long-term operation. It's just something that, when you experience these things after a while, you tend to look at life a little differently. And some of the little things that might be an inconvenience to you really aren't when you put it in perspective.
That's right.
This is the Airport Expressway. Crown Victoria smashed into a palm tree. That fella there is dead. We first have to get him out of there in order to, well, that's the palm tree right here. In order to get the lady and the guy out in the back seat. We had to call for a trauma surgeon with surgical equipment, amputation equipment, and units of red blood cells because we were pretty certain that we were going to have to amputate this guy's leg. This went on for about 45 minutes. I said I'm not spiritual, but I do pray, and I pray every day. It's one of these, oh God, please, just let this, we're working with the jaws of life, just, oh please, let this move. Let this metal move just enough for us to reach in and grab his ankle out of here so we don't have to cut his leg off. This is a fire that we had Saturday night. And it brings me a lot of satisfaction. Chris Ordeal was driving. And when you drive the fire engine, it's not just driving the engine. You've got to run the fire pump, and you have to run it at a certain pressure. And different hose lines, size and length hose lines, require different pressures. Well, we practice, and we practice, and we practice, and we practice. So at 3 o'clock in the morning when the bell hits, we're wiping the sleep out of our eyes. It's showtime. We got to go to work. That's the house that's on fire. That's a nozzle. We operated a hose line on this fella's house here. We saved this guy's house. That gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is a crack house. It was frequented by ne'er-do-wells. This guy is trying to keep up his property. The fire penetrated the glass, broke the glass, melted his vertical blinds in his house, but we kept the fire from spreading and causing any more damage than what you see right there in that house. And there's the brotherhood that brings me joy. Chris Martinez, Chris Gordillo, I don't know who that old wrinkled up old man is. It looks like he escaped from the nursing home. And Steve Whitehurst. And you know what? We're whooped. We're whooped because we've been operating at a sprint. But you know something? There's no greater feeling. Nobody can come up and give you that feeling. It's got to come from within. That's what makes the job so rewarding. And that's why I thank God that He's given me the opportunity to be a firefighter. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. It's an honor to be here.